library really was started off as I think an idea that came through a conversation with some service users who had helped us out in terms of supporting our teaching on the social work course, when we were looking to think about how we could make that engagement in learning much more meaningful. And one person had had an experience of going to a living library in one of the local libraries in Barnsley. She then told us about this idea of people being books. And it just fitted with this idea of a place of learning, knowledge, which is what we're bringing into the education process, is the knowledge that service users bring in the form of a living book.
I hope to get out my story as a young carer, so like the students here know more about what it's like as a young person with caring responsibilities.
I would hope to hear lots of different stories and understand people's backgrounds and why they're here today, including the other students here. Just getting to know why they would like to be social workers, and also understand the young people's perspective as social workers as well. It
always feels to me that when we are bringing people in to help us teach, and these are people who are coming from this area, we're sort of inviting them home. This is their university, and for me that means, and I think this is a place, the living library ensures that people are included into this space in a meaningful way, really, as teachers, bringing their expertise and knowledge as service users or people with experience of working with social workers in a way that actually represents something that's central to the library, which is knowledge which is held in the library.
I thought the Living Library was a wonderful experience. I think it was really great to be able to see all the social work students and to understand their perspectives on things. I think they learned a little bit more about what it's like being a young carer, about having a disabled sibling and a disabled child in the family, and how that impacts not only your life but the lives of everyone else in the family, and about the systems in place which can sort of help.
It's wonderful sort of hearing these people's lives in almost like a narrative way, because I think in social work sometimes a lot is focused on almost like stats and data and problems, and hearing about people's lives just seems so much more valuable.
The most difficult thing was having to actually share your personal views of your life with people you don't really know. It was quite fun to tell people about my caring role and letting it out there.
One of the things about the Living Library when we started off trying to do this was recognising how excluded actually young people often are from this process of social work education or joining in this process. And actually it fits in very well with a lot of the aspirations and ambitions that our students have for working with young people, to perhaps start off with a living library. And again, I think there are lots of different sorts of specialist living libraries that we can develop and build.
There was loads that our living book gave us. Don't get hardened by bureaucracy, keep the initial optimism and passion that you go into the job with, respect people, treat people as people as well, which I think is part of the whole living book experience anyway.
So it was that why, and being able to ask and develop more rather than just being told that they were comfortable. You could then kind of ask a few questions as long as they were okay with it, so that was really good.
It's important for students to understand something of the position of being a living book, in the same way as it's important for them to understand something of perhaps the positioning of being someone who is telling their story to social workers in the context of practice. That students in this sense are getting to actually understand something about what it might mean to share something of yourself in a different way, and to understand something perhaps about boundaries of relationship.
I think the experience of being a living book would actually be really, really great. I think it's important for social workers to actually express who they are and why they actually want to be social workers, because I think the message is a lot more positive than people necessarily think when they come into contact with social workers.
As social workers, we're being taught to be resilient and be everything that they want you to be, but then today kind of made you understand that the difficulties along the way and the difficulties that you still have and the journey that everyone's come on. So not everybody's had the same upbringing and help and financial support and emotional support, and some people are just fighting doing it on their own. So just hearing other people's stories was really inspiring and kind of getting you out of a little bubble, I suppose.
This becomes an exchange that's about the university being something that's central to people's lives and experiences, and might actually also encourage people to think about taking on a different role perhaps as a student within the library, as we sort of all are. I teach here, but I also learn here. I work here, but I'm also learning something from being here and through my work here. So for me, that's the whole bit about education that's bigger, much bigger than simply a training course.
I feel like I can do it all over again. It was quite fun. It was a bit nerve-wracking at first to get started and talking about your life and not knowing what questions you're going to answer, but after a while you get used to it, and yeah, it was good.
I definitely say to anyone who's interested in being a living book to absolutely go for it. It's really important that you share your thoughts, your opinions and your concerns about social work and about the field in general.
Don't be nervous about what you're doing, and just like express yourself in a way that they'll understand, but they won't judge you, so just feel at home with them.